Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah? And you thought I hadn't learned any Danish while I've been here. So guys, this is a story of a Danish trip of two halves. I'm just doing my mic check, as I do. I will never edit out. I think it might be my new bit. I mean, I guess my whole bit so far has been how unprofessional my filming is. So, but I think my new bit will be forever to do a mic check that I never ever edit out. Yeah? Deal? Awesome. I'm really glad you're on board with that. So, Denmark. I'm leaving soon. That's why I'm doing this video. I'm leaving soon. This may or may not be the last time you see me in Denmark. It's really hard to know. You guys know my CHRISTMESS videos are not appearing necessarily in chronological order. They're certainly not appearing the day that I did them. Actually, no, to be fair, that's not true. Some of them have. But mostly I'm filming in advance and then producing slowly, painfully, and then uploading when I'm able. So I'm in a different apartment. Look, different apartment. I'm sure my camera's struggling to focus on that because I haven't changed the focus. Something terrible happened at the weekend. We came home so this is Monday. On Saturday night, we arrived home and our electric keypad, like on our apartment door, had entirely failed. It had like started to fail a number of weeks ago and we got given like emergency key fobs. They also started to fail. And on Saturday night, the keypad did nothing. The fob did nothing. I was wearing tights and a skirt and boots, and it was like 6 degrees according to the weather app. According to the weather, it was 6 degrees, but it said that it felt like 2. It was absolutely Baltic. Basically an hour and 45 minutes later, somebody came to like basically break into the apartment. And when we got in, they kind of said, you won't be able to leave again. Or if you do leave, that needs to be you leaving permanently. So they moved us apartment, which was incredibly annoying because after 5 weeks of being in the same apartment and fully unpacking. Also, Andreas has been here for 12 weeks and I've been here for 5. And we had to move. So we moved yesterday and I have had one night in the new apartment. So I had to pack everything, obviously badly, to then get here to kind of unpack, to repack properly. I've also got so much stuff with me that I need to do like a really thorough, concise packing to make sure that I get everything in and that everything's in the right place because I've got so much stuff. I've got so much stuff. And he's got so much stuff. So he's only here for another sort of 4 nights, 5 nights. Anyway, it was hugely inconvenient. But now actually we're in a much nicer apartment, which is really annoying. I would have loved to move here like 4 weeks ago. We've got an extra long window and like we're up a floor so you don't feel like people are able to look in as much. I think it's bigger. We've also got this armchair. How can you have this armchair unless the apartment's bigger? Every time I've gone into the toilet, I've been like looking around, trying to figure out, is this the exact same dimension? And I'm just in a new version of this toilet, or is it actually bigger? Okay, that point I just made wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be. In my head, it was kind of funny. Funny is not the word. Well, okay. Okay. My Denmark trip. Let me try and keep this brief. I'm going to try and not beat around the bush, which is what I always seem to end up doing. I feel like every video I've made so far has been about 20 minutes and it could have been 10. Oh my God, I'm the YouTube creator version of people being like, this meeting could have been an email. Oh no. Has it been that bad? I do waffle a bit. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Come on, Agnes, get to the point. When I first arrived here, I was so bummed out. Just every day, I was incredibly homesick. And although I was like trying to think about what YouTube stuff I wanted to do, I didn't know what I was doing. So there were only so many hours I could like sit and stare at my computer screen, just like locked into indecision. Honestly, I was immobilized by fear and just not knowing what this was going to look like, not knowing where I should start. It felt like impossible to do anything. And then I just kind of started filming. I filmed hours of content, which nobody will ever see because it was just so atrocious. Yeah, that's right, guys. This is the good stuff. This is the improved version. Can you imagine how bad it was to start with? It was terrible. So I filmed hours and hours, and then I kind of managed to find my rhythm. And then as soon as December hit, I had such a huge amount of editing to do. So at the beginning of being in Denmark, I had almost nothing to do. I was trying to fill my days with things that would make me feel a little less homesick. I was spending a lot of time alone and just feeling so lost. And I kind of didn't really give myself enough of an allowance, that it was just, the transition here was really, really difficult. And I kind of got here and was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so unhappy? I'm in one of the coolest countries in the world, and I'm just sitting in this flat having a miserable time, feeling like I'm in prison, and I'm so homesick. I did consider going home, but it felt really important to stay. It felt like I was going through something in myself, and that would be better done in Denmark, where I had the kind of time for it to look like how it needed to look, if that makes sense. I would have the time and the space to just go through whatever I was going through. And I realize now that it's such a huge change. It's such a huge change. And I guess it's quite a lot to come to terms with, because this is probably how my life is going to look. I mean, maybe for the next couple of years, is going to be spending long chunks of time here where I'm only with Andreas, and then long chunks of time at home when I'm with everyone else in my life. And so it does feel like quite a lot to come to terms with, that my life is sort of occurring in these two different places, which are hundreds of miles away from each other. So that's something else that I guess I'm still kind of coming to terms with. But when I was first here, I was so sad and I was so lonely and I felt really lost. And I just, like, every single day I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? And knowing that, I mean, me not working, it is not a permanent arrangement by any means. I've got to find a way to do this, or I got to find something else to do. So it does feel like there's quite a lot riding on me being able to actually not necessarily even have a YouTube career. My plan is to make enough content online that more people find me, and then more people want me to be their therapist, is essentially the idea. It would be cool if I made some money from this. That would be awesome. But if I can just find enough people to funnel them towards my private services, that would be perfect. And then I can work from anywhere, because I do that on Zoom. So it felt like when I was gearing up to start making YouTube videos, that there was a huge amount of pressure to get it right, and just, yeah, really, really, really locked in indecision, immobilized by fear, incredibly anxious, just doubting myself every single day, being hyper critical of myself. And then I started to edit, and then I was looking at hours of footage of myself, most of which ended up on the cutting room floor, as they say. And again, had, yeah, some real roller coasters with editing and uploading, and my technology failing me. And just, again, that like crippling self-doubt, that when I'm editing a video, I will have moments where I'm like, oh my God, I think this is really good. Where I'll have said something quite funny, and I'm like, oh, I'm quite funny. Or I'll look quite good, and I'm like, I look quite good. Or I'll have made a really good mental health point, and I'm like, I think that's really going to help people. And then a second later, I'm like, no, wait. This is the dumbest thing I have ever made in my entire life. What on earth was I thinking? Get off your computer and go get a real job. So those are the kind of two extremes that I go between. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Yeah. So when I started to edit, I then became really, really busy, and I have spent probably all in all about, I don't know, 8, 9 solid days on my laptop. Obviously, they've not occurred like back to back, but often Andreas would go to work at like 6:45, and I'd be up at that time, and I would pretty much sit down to my laptop at 7:30, and I would still be there kind of 7:30 when he comes home at night. Those were the kind of days that I was pulling while editing, because it took such a long time, especially at the beginning. So that was rough for a different reason. So everything was kind of very, very quiet, and I was like looking for things to do. And then it became absolutely insane, and I have done nothing but sat hunched over my laptop as an absolute laptop goblin. And parts of that have felt wonderful. Like I have been really enjoying the creative process of like filming and editing and then putting videos on YouTube. Like there's a lot of the creative process that I feel like it really energizes me and it feels great. But that the sort of excitement from what I'm doing creatively in my body anyway, that level of excitement, like it's a feeling not dissimilar to nervousness. And I think because I'm going from feeling like, oh wow, I'm really doing this, this is really cool, to be like, what on earth am I thinking? This is a ridiculous project, put this many hours in. This isn't going to help anything. And you're like slaving away. So to go between those two things, it's just quite extreme. And it has felt quite tiring and it has made me feel quite on edge. Either I'm in like a really excited, oh my God, I'm doing it, but that's like quite an energized kind of feeling, or I'm just disabled by anxiety that what I'm doing is actually ridiculous, you know? So to go between both those things, it's not relaxing is not the word I would use to describe it. Exciting at points, definitely. Nerve-wracking at points, definitely. Relaxing, no. No, 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 no. It's quite an unsettled feeling. It's quite an unsettled feeling. But it's in a lot of ways it's quite nice. So that is where I am just now. So Denmark has been frankly bizarre. Bizarre to go from like kind of understimulated to overstimulated to like really homesick to now actually at this point, like, I mean, I'm excited to go home, but with the amount of workload I've had recently, actually being here is great for that. I'm alone at least 10 hours in a day, sometimes 12. So that's perfect to get as much work done as I possibly could. It's wonderful. And I'm aware that when I go home, I'm going into this like busy house full of babies and dogs. And I'm going to be really busy with lots of other social stuff. So, I mean, I am, don't get me wrong, I am very, very excited to go home. But it is strange to be like, do you know what? There's a lot about being here for longer that would have worked really well. So, my plan when I get home is to be very, very kind and gentle with myself. I think another a thing that's really, really common that I'm pretty sure we all do to ourselves is that when we've looked forward to something for so long, I think we can have really unrealistic expectations about how good it's going to be. And I know I've done this a load of times before because I've lived a very transient lifestyle where I have been away a lot and looking forward to going home. And actually, sometimes when I go home, it's not as good as I think it's going to be because it's just that transition, right? That transition can often be quite uncomfortable. I will get home and for a period of time feel really quite unsettled. And I'm just not quite back into the groove of things with the routine at home, and things can feel quite stressful and quite difficult, and I can feel quite demotivated. So I know there is a high likelihood that I will feel like that when I go home. So I'm not telling myself that it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. And that even though I've missed everyone dreadfully, I know I'm not going to go home and just have this incredible stress-free Christmas. I think I'm going to go home and find it quite difficult to like carve out the time I need to edit and like produce a video a day. So I am being realistic with my expectations of my own capability and my own mental health. I'm wrapping this up, guys. The apartment is such a mess. And today I'm leaving. I need to repack. I need to repack my bag. I also want to sort some things out for Andreas so that he doesn't come home to a really terrible, terrible apartment tonight. I would like to leave things nice for him. So I'm gonna like unpack, repack, and get ready to go home to Scotland. It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry you guys didn't get to say goodbye to the last apartment. I felt pretty sentimental about it towards the end, but you get to say goodbye to this one. Bye, Aalborg. Bye, Denmark. I'm not saying goodbye to Denmark yet. I'm saying goodbye to Denmark in like, I don't know, 10 hours or something like that. Okay, guys. Take good care. The Danish part of CHRISTMESS has been a messy, messy pleasure. Bye, guys.